TheorySabers.com.
A few things on my mind in recent events with Marvel. And I have to say, and this is about Star Wars, so don't get detracted. It seems like Kevin Feige has kind of seen the direction that he's been going with Marvel really hasn't been the best take. And he's not only kind of switched his gears, but he's literally course corrected, right? And I think that's the most important thing. I think there's a lot of people that'll just say like, oh yeah, we're sorry that this happened or whatever. This guy is actually taking action to course correct. Now, a lot of people are saying this is, petty. This is cheap. It's fan service. They're desperate, blah, blah, blah. Sure. But look, you can't blame him for at least going this way, seeing it's not working with what they're doing, shifting gears and going the other way. Maybe it's not the best move for a lot of people. For me, casual Marvel fans, somewhat, a little more than casual, I think it's cool. I think it's fine. That being said, I respect that a shit ton more than Kathleen Kennedy, who just keeps barreling down the same direction. And whenever there's a bad project, she'll just spew out that fans are sexist, or it's a male-dominated space, or that we're racist, or whatever. All the ists and the phobes. And I think this is just such a poor way of leadership. We're looking at two different leaders of two of the biggest IPs in the world, Marvel and Star Wars. And we see that Kevin Feige, yeah, you know what? He had a real great success with the Russo brothers, with Marvel in the first 10 years or whatever it was. And he did a fantastic job. They made a lot of money, billions and tens of billions of dollars. I think now with the release of the different films, Marvel has had 30 billion worth in movies. Is that right? With now Deadpool and Wolverine, it's now 30 bill. But what I'm trying to, kind of like what came to my mind is like, you see two different leaders and one has done a great job. Then they kind of shat the bed. And then now they're like, okay, you know what? Kind of need to go back to formula, get the Russo brothers. They know what they're doing. Bring back good writers and who know this whole lore and the characters and everything, and just kind of shift directions. We're going to take the love that everyone has for Tony Stark, for Robert Downey Jr., and we're going to recast him in this multiverse. He's using all of the tools that he has to create something that he knows will drive sales back up and interest back up, because Marvel used to be freaking super popular just a few years ago, and it's taken a big nosedive. And this course correction, I feel like, is them kind of acknowledging like, all right, look, they've probably had investors sit at the boardroom table and they're like, look, this is not really working, so we need to kind of make some moves. That's what he's doing. He's making moves, and I freaking respect that like crazy. But what's Kathleen doing? Just barreling down the same sort of path. Poor writers, shitty writers that don't know about Star Wars, and continuing on this same sort of like destructo vision that she has of just my way or the highway, and anyone who doesn't like it is an ist and a phobe. And I think that is so irresponsible in so many different ways, because first of all, you're destroying a franchise that George built, that your so-called friend George Lucas built and trusted you to, he handed it off to you like his child. And you just destroyed it. You ran rampant with it and you killed it. But not only that, but it also creates so much vitriol in the fandom. And look, I've seen both sides, right? I'm not blind to it. I've seen both sides of the fandom. And I hate the fact that people like to say that I'm on one side or the other side. I think it's gotten out of hand on so many different levels. And, I think with Kathleen continuing down and calling the ists and the phobes, I think it just gives so much more room for divisiveness. Forget stories just sucking and people loving that and people not loving that and saying, this is not George Lucas Star Wars or whatever, or it is, or you don't know, whatever. That creates division in and of itself, and you're always going to have that because it's just the way it is. But when it comes down to like this whole like political game that's being thrown into Star Wars with the fandom, I think it's just weird, and I don't like it. And so I really commend Feige for whatever he's doing, because it's at least brought a shit ton of people together, and people are debating on Marvel if this is a good move or if it's a desperate move or whatever. And you know what? We're going to get those movies, and they're either going to be great or they're going to be lackluster, but they're still going to have elements of things people will like the character or Robert Downey Jr. or whatever they're doing. Whereas with Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy, it's just continuing to go down this shit path of, either characters we just don't give a shit about in stories that we give a shit about, like Reva, for example, in the Kenobi show, or destroying characters like Luke in The Last Jedi, or going ahead and creating all new characters like in The Acolyte, and then jangling keys like Yoda and Plagueis, and then creating weird relationships within those characters and these new characters, like as if apparently Yoda knew about all the deaths. Plagueis is now the master of Chimere. A whole bunch of shit that's just changing around. I just think that that's not the right direction. I think we need to just completely shift gears, do do what Kevin Feige's doing. Find some really talented writers and directors who understand Star Wars. Like, and that's the thing, is that the Russo brothers, yeah, maybe there are better writers or directors out there, sure. But these guys at least understand the story. And I think that they have heart when it comes to understanding these characters and really care about them, you know? That's all it is at the end of the day. But with Star Wars, like, these people, I think they're just writing it on their resume, or they have some sort of political agenda to throw in there or something, and it just doesn't really vibe with me. I think it just creates so much division on so many different levels, just, you know, politically, and the ists and the phobes, and then within the, like, the fun actual aspect of it, of Star Wars itself, which is always going to be there, the baseline. It's just too much. It's too much. And I think, you know, we can at least learn from Kevin Feige's move and be like, all right, this dude's innovative. But Kathleen, just bless her heart, at least she's sticking to her guns. Let's just keep going. Let's do it. You're an istinophobe. If you don't like it, you suck. You're racist. Yeah, no, let's keep going. I know what I'm doing. I see exactly where we're going. You know, it's rough. This is my video, you know, kind of amalgamating both scenarios into one. And it kind of made me think and sit back and be like, oh, you know what? Kind of interesting how there's a major difference. And I saw Geekdom also made a comment on this too. And I was like, yeah, totally. There's definitely a difference. Anyways, looks like Marvel is going to be pretty exciting going forward. It's just awesome. If you didn't know, I do have a Marvel channel, which talks about everything else other than Star Wars, like DC, The Boys, all that stuff. And my buddy Nick covers that channel, with a lot of me overseeing a ton of stuff whenever I have time. It's called Fantasy Theory. So if you want to check that out, you can. Love you guys. You have a great day, and let me know what you think. Catch you later.